Yo, what is going on, everyone? We should be live. Bro, I should look at my stream, sexy. Okay, yeah, now we should be live. Yo, what is going on, everyone? It's Robin here, and today, let me just go ahead and check right. Dude, I fucking love this guy. Fuck yeah, dude. I was just trolling this guy over, yeah, that was the bathroom thing. This guy was funny. I just, wait, can I not even see my reply? Oh yeah, I said nigger in both of them. That's probably why. Ah, well. Yeah. I just fucking love trolling people with that word. It's like, imagine being an adult telling another, or being anyone telling like, especially an adult, oh no, this word, you can't say that, because, yeah, this is too offensive of a curse word. Like, it's like, oh yeah, but faggot, that's fine, that's fine, but, no, that word. Alright, so, great thumbnail. Let me. Yeah, so yeah, we're today gonna be reacting to um the Cenk Uygur versus Tucker Carlson debate. I completely forgot what it was. I was just watching this video and dude, I would holy shit, like all of my favorite people on this, like fuck, I need to see this more because I realized like holy shit, Sam Setter? Is it like I don't really like Sam Setter a lot, but like I've watched a lot of him and I was surprised because like and then I saw Secular Talk. Now that is like probably my favorite political commentator. Like I do like the humanist report, but like Secular Talk for sure. Like best like Secular Talk and Tucker Carlson. But like Secular Talk has his facts right way more than Tucker Carlson does a lot of the time. But yeah, I'm still definitely rooting for Tucker Carlson over Cenk Uygur though.
On businesses like yours to hold
But
together and pay your employees. If you did,
yeah, if I remember well, like neither person really destroyed the other person. And I like, dude, when I saw this debate, I didn't really know Cenk Uygur. I just saw like all I really knew about him was like, yeah, he's a pretty divisive person. Like on Twitter, if you go and look at his Twitter, it's like yeah, he's pretty divisive. He'll be pretty toxic. He'll just put a lot of stuff, and it's like none of what he will say on Twitter might actually change any Republican person's mind. And like I don't know, like he's a lot for personal responsibility, like the government forcing that on. Well, how about you take personal responsibility, pal? Your Twitter account, you're one of the biggest socialist people. Like how about you make sure not to put just divisive hate towards the first class, while you in your middle class bubble, I think you're first class now, but yeah, just yeah, you just pander to the middle class who are effectively ignoring the third class. Because they get to ignore the third class. Like the first class or the middle class, who has to be like, yeah, fuck you. Because the third class doesn't... If you give a homeless person a doorbell, they won't retort by telling you, well, that's not my fair share. And if they told you that, well, guess what? They'd be right. Because, is that 30% of what you own? Like, is that... Do you pay, homeless people? Do you, like, I don't know, the whole concept of taxes, paying your fair share. Like, socialism is like in between communism, which is like full blown, and capitalism. The capitalist standpoint would be closer to no, you like that is actually the capitalist standpoint. No, there is no amount of theft is reasonable, and communism is just like, yeah, we'll prioritize just 100%, just 100% maximizing the greater good over property rights and yeah, bodily autonomy rights for corporations. Just 100% only maximizing the greater good through societal benefits, and 0% property rights. And socialism claims to be like, and yeah, obviously capitalism is the opposite, 100% property rights. And like, no, you steal a reasonable amount of money to give to maximizing the greater good because like morally it's superior. But like, yeah, socialism would stand where like, well, we're just stealing a reasonable amount of money. Now, dude, I'm so fucking high, by the way. I do apologize for that, but if you watch my content, you're gonna be getting a lot more of that. So, like, seriously apologize for, you know, like, you don't like that, kill yourself. Yeah, that's pretty good apology. Anyway, dude, I'm getting off topic here. What the fuck? Oh, yeah, so, like, what I would say is that there is no reasonable amount of theft, but, like, the socialist standpoint would be, oh, well, a reasonable amount. What is a reasonable amount of theft? And by the way, I'm not going to keep going over that. Yeah, taxes are theft. If you disagree, you're disagreeing with the definition. But, yeah, what, bro, I'm so fucking high, I forgot what I was, oh yeah, so, the definition, I guess people would say, that they would put it with 30%, is, well, a reasonable amount of theft is, whatever would only minorly inconvenience the people who are the taxpayers, versus the major inconveniences that that would come from not having the social benefits that would come at the detriment of that taxpayer money. And yeah, such as, for example, yeah, if you get 30% of wealth, yeah, no one's gonna go fucking bankrupt. Like, rich people, Jeff Bezos isn't gonna be drinking out of the fucking sewer if he pays his fair share taxes. Okay, that's true. Like, your fair share isn't gonna make you go bankrupt if it's 30%. Like, and yeah, it could be argued from a socialist standpoint that there's a very fair argument. Yeah, being stolen that amount of money, and not everybody gets to steal your money, only the government, so it's just that amount of money being stolen from you. Like, yeah, you can live with that. It won't make you just, it won't destroy your standard of living. It'll only minorly inconvenience your standard of living. Meanwhile, not having, say, free healthcare, well, that could majorly inconvenience you in the fact that if you're a middle class person, say, and you get maybe cancer, which a lot of people could get, well, guess what? Where's meritocracy now, bitch? You just, went financially bankrupt because the middle class can't afford American healthcare. It's just not affordable by their standards. And, well, yeah, now you can't go anywhere. So, yeah, that's, definitely, what the fuck was I saying? Dude, I'm way too high. So, yeah, that's sort of the socialist standpoint. Like, yeah, we're not gonna steal all your money, we're just gonna steal a reasonable amount. And to that I would say, oh well, you're for the first class paying the officiate to the middle class, and you sort of would define that. I think that's a fair definition and a fair, like, we can argue whether that's a fair demand. I think it's theft. I don't think, like, my response to that would be, so, like, if a kid is in a field and, just has his ball that he's not, I go to that all the time, just, a kid isn't playing with their ball, they just have it on the ground, another kid comes up to them, hey, can I, play with your ball? No, mine, don't share. Okay, well, what do? You go up to their parents and you tell them, hey, did you tell your kid to let me share? And then the parent does good parenting, which is teaching their kids morals. You shouldn't be forced to donate your money towards, say, charity or anything. Or the middle class shouldn't be forced to donate their money to the homeless, which they don't do a lot, by the way, in case you haven't noticed. Like, yeah, if their parents want to go ahead and parent them, do good parenting, which is, if you're going to have a kid, that is sort of your responsibility. Yeah, but don't let the government do that. The government, like, what if that person is an adult because they're going through a middle life crisis or something, and they develop, like, late stage schizophrenia or bipolar or whatever the fuck, and, well, they're just sitting in a park with a football by themselves, and they aren't playing with it, and they tell a kid, no, you can't play with that. Well, well, that's wrong. I mean, if you know the kid's going to give it back, let's just assume that, and you're not even playing with it, like, who are you to tell them that they can't play with it? That's just being a dick. Well, yeah, you should get the right to be a dick. Who are you to tell anyone that your property is your property? Well, because it's your property. Wealth is your property. So, By the way, let me make sure that my live stream, we should be live. Okay, yeah, let me stop watching that because that's, sort of gonna fuck me up. So, yeah, in terms of that, I would definitely say, yeah, my point with that is, well, you want the first class to pay their fair share to the middle class. Well, do the middle class pay their fair share to the third class? Because I think, from a socialist standpoint, that's pretty much the same thing. If you're going to argue that first class should pay their fair share to the middle class, how about you stop focusing on the middle class for a moment? Because they're just middle. They're in the middle. They are not that special. They're in the middle. There is a class that is more oppressed than them. So the middle class is very good at playing that victim card, but they are also very good as much as they're going to get paid fucking $7.25 and oh, I'm only getting paid $7.25. Oh yeah, but you know what I'm gonna do with that $7.25? Let me go fuck a prostitute. Do you think prostitutes get paid minimum wage, dipshit? No. Do you think homeless people? Do you think that was a choice for them to go homeless? No, I don't think that was a choice. Find me one homeless person whose story goes, well, you know what? I was lazy and didn't care then, and I'm still lazy and still don't care now. In fact, that's why I'm here. Good fucking luck, buddy. You probably won't find that. So, I think the third class, they don't get a lot of attention. And what would be considered a fair share, from the middle class or the third class? Well, most people, that's why the middle class are considered such golden boys, and that's why when the middle class goes ahead and panders as the victim, oh, victim card, I'm the victim. That's why they are allowed to do that so much, because they are the bulk, and they can say, yeah, well, when you ask what the country wants, you're really asking me, so I'll answer you what I want. I want these first class to stop being so entitled and stop living in their bubble and realize my concerns. It's like, middle class person, your concerns. Like, are you talking about my concerns? Like, how oppressed I am? Because then you could just shut the fuck up. I am definitely not oppressed by any measures. But, yeah, how about the third class? How much are they oppressed? Well, the anti-homeless infrastructure we put on them to make sure they don't get to live in nice places, to make sure they don't get to sleep in these nice spaces, for example, spikes and such, actually costs more than it would to house them. That's how much we hate them. So, that already says a lot, but, well, what would be a fair share that the middle class could pay to the third? Well, since the middle class makes up the bulk of the people who will be around homeless people, I think it's fair to say, for example, me, I don't own this house. This is my mother's house. She uses it for storage. If this was my house, if I owned a house like this, my storage room, I would use it to get a homeless person. I would use it to house them. I think the average middle class person think at least, you could say, at the very least 40% of, let's say yeah, at least 40% of the upper middle class, let's be very generous, has at least one storage room that they could, use to house a homeless person. Do you think we could end homelessness then? Since the first class is just so much higher in their entitlement bubble, while the middle class is just in their entitled semi-elite bubble, and at the same time they're just bitching at the first class for being in their higher bubble and ignoring their concerns, while they're just going through the drive-thru of McDonald's with their burgers, seeing the homeless man that's starving and not giving them anything. That's the stereotypical middle class person. I see them all the time. In fact, I'm around them. I go in public school. Yeah, how about before we look at the middle class, we look at the third? We could house them for less than we could just be putting the anti-homeless infrastructure. How about we do that? How about we even feed them at that point? Because you know what? These, like I said, the dollar store, there are noodles. They now cost $1.35 because of inflation. Guess what you get for $1.35? Yeah, that's right, 3 meals. You could say, let's just say, buy 2 of them to make the whole day. Okay, let's say now we are at $3. $3 to feed one person for a day. That's the bare minimum. At least with that they won't starve. It's not good quality food, but again, like, the middle class is demanding way higher fucking standards than this. prostitution, well, actually, that's illegal. Do you think they get paid minimum wage? Do you think homeless people get paid minimum wage? $7.25 is too little. We need to increase that. Yeah, I'd say the middle class is way too entitled, and if we're not going to, like, either we're going to be capitalist and we're going to say, well, yeah, I focus on the first class, and specifically my donors, which I completely disagree with, but that's what Republicans tend to do. Either we're going to be socialist and we're going to go like, well, you know what, middle class, bitch, you're in the middle. We don't care about you prioritarily, we care about you secondly. Firstly, we're going to look at the third class. We're going to make sure they don't starve during the winter. We're going to make sure all of that happens, and we're also going to give you free healthcare because the homeless people also need free healthcare, and we're not going to discriminate. That's how we should do it. But with Joe Biden, how does that work out for us? Well, Joe Biden is a corporate Democrat. He's not going to have healthcare. How about CNN? Do you think they would be pro-healthcare if Don Lemon, I don't know exactly who he is, do you think he's pro-healthcare? Well, I don't think so. So, yeah, and at this point we have to ask, well, why aren't we giving this money to the homeless? Now, now of course I'm a Republican, I'm for $0 minimum wage, but I think it's very obvious. Now, Cenk Uygur, I just remembered that in this debate they're going to go over tax loopholes. Now, Tucker Carlson is going to say, no, I'm against tax loopholes. And I fundamentally disagree with that, and I don't think people who are going through tax loopholes are bad people. Because, guess what? What is their money going to go to? And first and foremost, it's going to go to a huge scam. This scam is actually known as the US military. What do you know? Let me get away from this and start seeing. So, yeah, you could watch this video. This is a very great video. What do you know? You give, all this money for hypothetical foreign threat, to fund hypothetical foreign threats, instead of actual measurable, domestic threats such as not having healthcare. You can actually measure the amount of deaths that come as a result of that. And by the way, I saw the Ben Shapiro versus Cenk Uygur debate, and I am. By the way, let me just a second. Yeah, boy. Yeah, so by the way, I did see that debate, and I do know that, yeah, Ben Shapiro said, oh yeah, you have three things, what was it? Affordability, universality, and, quality. It was like, you could have two of these things, but not all three. Look, I was high during that debate, and I didn't think about it since, and now I'm high, but, in that debate, I said, yeah, if I remember, I didn't relook at that, but I think I said, okay, quality, universality, and affordability. Let's just get universality and quality. If it's not affordable, well, it's universal. Like we don't have to be able to afford it anymore. The government's paying for it. So like, yeah, that's sort of an oxymoron because, well, who's paying that government money? The government isn't paying for it. You're paying for it because you're having to pay the government. And well, again, there's no contract to, no, we do not want to fund the government for this service, so, but again, let's go back to tax loopholes. Well, the military, this is a bulk of what our nation goes to, with by far the biggest military. There are graphs of this, and we're spending so much of our money on hypothetical foreign threats, and by hypothetical, I do mean very hypothetical, because which type of hypothetical country is going to want to go to war with a nuclear arsenal such as the United States, the biggest fucking nuclear arsenal and the biggest military power on Earth? Who would actually want to do that? They'd have to be insane. And, well, yeah, instead of funding that for non-hypothetical war that we're having, for example, right now, the war on not being able to have free healthcare, that's That's an actual domestic threat. People are dying, homeless people in masses. Do you know that many homeless people who are, say, your grandparents' age? Well, do you think there's a problem with that? Well, probably. If we're willing to waste so much of people's money into taking lives over saving lives, I think whether you're first class, second class, or third class, everybody, especially the first class, should agree that our message shouldn't be taking lives instead of saving lives. Because we, in general, whether we be first, second, or third class, are not bad people because humans are not bad people. That's why Americans who feel a sense of identity and collective, like, ideas, a collective ideology, like a sense of shared purpose and stuff, like a sense of brotherhood in their country, that's sort of how far they're gonna be willing to extend their empathy to, like, they recognize Americans as at least sharing common values. That's the Republican status quo. We empathize more than anything with fellow Americans, and you'll see this with Democrats too. You'll see this with everyone. Democrats just aren't explicit about it. And we should try to remove this whole fucking this whole stereotype of Americans who like yeah, we should be able to empathize our empathy to everyone. But say the average person, if you had a school shooting, let's say, or a bomb that just happened, the the city, like, two cities across from you, like 2 cities away from you, even if you didn't know anybody who got injured or killed in that shooting, you will care about it even if it was the next state away. I've noticed that with a lot of people. They all say when they hear news about this, like, they all react a lot more strongly about like the issues that hit closer home, even if they don't know any of the people. I saw that in the Humanist Reports. Let me see. I definitely, dude. I need to. Yeah, recap of 2022. And yeah, at some point he asked people to vote. Yeah. Yeah, I made that whole fucking argument, but yeah, at the end of this video, he asked him.
Smoking hurts your lungs? I've got you covered.
Okay. I'm going to get to the debate, by the way. I'm just trying to have my little monologue beforehand, but let's actually go to this.
Worthy. But without further ado, let's get to the results, folks.
No. We need to go.
Regaining prominence, not just in the United States, but across the world. But usually when we see fascists talk about their terrible beliefs, they use coded words, dog whistles. They skirt around what they're really thinking.
Wait, what were the 4 things? There was Kanye going on Alex Jones going Nazi. There was the cops just oh yeah, I just remembered that the cops just tending around, not doing anything. There was Roe v. Wade thing
he said the quiet part.
And I think there was the genocide in Yemen.
Loud. And that to me is shocking, not just because of what he said, but because of who he was, how far he's fallen. I mean, this was an individual who in my teenage years was an icon to me. He was a hero. I listened to his music. Actually.
Oh yeah, so I don't know what the hell Uvalde. I've never heard of that place. I heard that there was a place and something happened. Maybe it was protest. I have no idea. But yeah, so the result, most people. Oh yeah, that was actually the thing. Oh yeah, that was the thing with the police not responding. So those were the 4 what the fuck moments of 2022 that he was talking about. I think Russia invading Ukraine, Roe v. Wade being overturned, the police officers not like responding, and Kanye going full Nazi. And people cared more about Roe v. Wade being overturned than Russia invading Ukraine. that's a great fucking phrase. These are socialists mostly. The Humanist Report, I heard he's for a social democracy. I think that's, but like in terms of the socialist versus capitalist, he leans more socialist. Definitely, that's just a fact. You can like, not many people will try to dispute that. But yeah, you can see within Democrats. Oh yeah. What did Russia build trenches and like, didn't he genocide? Didn't this motherfucker legit nuke an elementary school in Ukraine? Hundreds dead. But Roe v. Wade being overturned. Oh well, basically yeah, you don't have a choice anymore. Except that you do, because sex is a choice. And by the way, most of these protesters, I'm pro-choice, by the way. I'm definitely pro-choice. Most of these protesters were not raped. They were not victims of any of that. So sex was absolutely a choice. Now, I'm an incel. I know personally that sex is, well, very much a choice. You could just choose not to have sex. In fact, I never even got to have a choice, and I'm not dead. There you go. That is just proof that not having sex doesn't kill you. Some like, dude, my mother, for example, she'll be like, oh yeah, all that stuff, even though like she hasn't had new kids, of course, and I'm very glad about that. But like, she'll be like, oh yeah, for like these young people, it's like sex, like reproductive, like that's one of these needs, like food, sex, all, and it's like, no, you don't need to have sex with anybody. Now, you should have the right to. You should have the right to an abortion. But for most people in the Humanist Report socialist community, it seems that not getting a confirmation choice. Yeah, when you went through the what's it called? Yeah, the process through which when you went through the process through which babies are made, did you actually mean to do that? Did you have sex on accident? Did you actually mean to like get pregnant, or did you just have sex on accident? You weren't trying to have sex. You just did an oopsie. You just, yeah, okay, well that's fine. Well, and yeah, you should have the right to do that. You should be the right to be fucking stupid, just like you should have the right to just, oh well, I just want to have sex, and instead of just putting a condom, because I heard apparently that's fucking annoying. I could get that. Yeah, just yeah, you could just abort the baby. It's not like it's sentient anyway. So yeah, that's definitely a thing. But yeah, socialists also tend to care about what's closer to. But dude, holy shit! I just went on a huge tangent. Basically, what I was saying, yeah, people will extend their empathy, specifically Republicans, to fellow Americans. Well, dude, I need to go back to what the hell I was saying to when it's all, yeah, such as, for example, yeah, if you get 30% of wealth themselves, and they aren't playing with it, and they tell a kid, no, you can't play with that. Yeah, how about before we look at the middle class, do you think he's pro-healthcare? Well, I don't think so. So, yeah, and this is a very great video. What do you know? You give all this money for hypothetical foreign threat to fund hypothetical foreign threats instead of actual measurable. That's sort of an oxymoron, because, well, who's paying that government money? The government isn't paying for it. You're paying for it because you're having to pay the government. And well, again, there's no contract to, say, your grandparents' age. Well, do you think? But say the average person, if you had a school shooting, let's say, or a bomb that just happened, a collective ideology, like a sense of shit. Oh yeah, I was going with that. So yeah, I was going to talk about why Republicans hate why they might ban critical race theory, for example, and why they're against this idea of America is systemically racist, America is structurally racist. Well, you know how everybody normally, when you see someone, you start being able to empathize with them, because humans are empathetic social creatures. In fact, that's why we unlike other animals, not only are we smarter, but one big advantage we have is that we're social. When we start being able to empathize with people, see that they are sort of like us in many ways, well, we start being able to empathize with them, and conservatives, they extend that to Americans, and the justification they'll have for that, instead of all humans are Americans, is, well, the Bill of Rights, all of that stuff. Like, I agree with that, and Americans, they tend to share that, I mean, they're still here, they didn't move away. Clearly, like, Americans in general, they agree with, like, the American dream, like, the concepts founded by, like, yeah, America. So, like, under that unites us. We share common values. Well, the thing is, immigrants also, that's why America is so successful uh, as of running under, what's it called? Like, a system that is meant for the people to decide. The reason why such a fragile system is so successful is because the people fucking like it. And that is why we have so many immigrants trying to come here. But, oh yes, like, with the immigrants, the Republicans tend not to empathize a lot. It's like, oh well, yeah, actually, you're trespassing public property, retard. You shouldn't be allowed to do that. You shouldn't be allowed to have the American dream. You live in Mexico. Go live the Mexican dream. That's where your boundaries go. Yeah, like, people, yeah, like, granting people human rights, or not granting them certain human rights based on where their ancestors were born, aka Africa for black people, yeah, that's completely wrong. But, like, but people who were themselves born elsewhere, it's like, oh, they had just as much control over that as, say, their ancestors, but, and yeah, again, the reason why they might be able to throw away that empathy for immigrants would be, yeah, nationalism is not based on a racial premise, it's based on a practical premise. Like, yeah, nations need to be separated because, like, on large scales, democracy doesn't really work, and if we separate like, if there was just one nation, for example, like, I've never heard anybody else say that, but I think it's fair to say if one nation that treats all of its citizens equally, like that with no discrimination by nation, well, what if that country went fascist? No other country would be able to, like, counter that. But yeah, I think we definitely have that. But like, when you have Republicans who are shared under, like, common values, we share the American value, the American dream. Like, yeah, when you say, like, with people who they share a sense of identity with, including black people, by the way, because black people have always been a part of our society in America since we imported them, since we imported their ancestors, at least. Yeah, when you tell them, yeah, like, you and, like, this whole bunch of you, who is, like, well, the people who they will empathize with, when you say, you're fundamentally just, hateful, because racism is hateful. Yeah, when you say, oh yeah, you're all systemically racist, yeah, they absolutely hate that because, they are not, that's not who they are. They aren't hateful, and in fact, like, not only is that intuitively true because humans in general are not hateful, that's why Americans are not hateful, because Americans are humans, and humans are social animals. They tend to have the best in their hearts. They tend to mean well. They tend to have good intentions in general. As generally speaking, that's how people are, and therefore that's how Americans are, because Americans are people. But in fact, that's not even true. There is no structural, really, at least, not, like, with Jim Crow in 2023. Is affirmative action legal? Yeah, well, that's something, that's Jim Crow in 2023. How about, is segregation still legal? No. So, yeah, the only reason why people are still, why black people in general are still poorer is because wealth redistribution happens at a, like, just slower, it's slower these days, wealth redistribution down generations, because inheritance plays a big part in money going down generations. Like, yeah, these days, social change, social acceptance happens, like, yeah, progress just happens at a way faster pace than, say, wealth going down generations. There's a culture within poverty, like the might makes right culture. You have socialism for the rich and anarchy for the poor when you have a capitalist system a lot of the time. So wealth might not be redistributed fairly. And I say, oh well, there's a lot of white people in the big sphere. Yeah, and it's like, is that wrong? Like, oh, like all these presidents who white. Like, let's look at Joe Biden. He's a new white president, and it's like, so if he was black, he did it. It's like some people will say, and that's false, by the way. Oh well, the Jews have all the power, just like the white people actually have all the power. That's funny because Judaism, I mean, anti-Semitism tends to go with white supremacy, which is pretty funny because while Jewish people don't have all the power, white people actually tends to. But I would say to that, well, what if Jewish people had like so much power, like so many Jewish people up there? Good for them. It doesn't matter that they're Jewish, just like it doesn't matter that we're white. But yeah, when you tell a group of people who can empathize with the group around them, that like the group to which they can stretch their human empathy to, like, yeah, they're just fundamentally hateful. They take that as an attack on the middle class. They take that as, oh well, your rich elite smug colors are showing, and you're just showing your contempt for the middle class. So yeah, that's what I would say about structural racism. But back to the tax loopholes. Now, a lot of people, again, this goes back to most people are good people, and that would imply most people you would imagine would be for saving lives over taking lives. Now, what does the military budget, which is a scam, do? Well, it takes lives instead of saving lives. Now, socialists will often point back to, well, let's make comparisons to show how much, like, oh yeah, Bernie stuff could be affordable if we just like took out of the military. And the examples they'll put, I saw Secular Talk's example in this video, and as well as Cenk Uygur's example in either this video. I think it was the Cenk Uygur. I'm fucking hell. I'm retarded. I think it was the Cenk Uygur versus Ben Shapiro debate. Where he said that both cases when they challenged the military spending, they proposed, oh well, instead of doing that, we could just tune America's current meritocracy system for college. Since colleges are already pretty liberal, let's just tune their system into a communist system. We currently actually have free college in the United States. In case you didn't know that, it's called TOPS. Now, what does TOPS do? Well, you learn about it in school if you go to school. Basically, if you are an American citizen, or even for my case, if you have a green card and you're an immigrant, you have a green card or you're a naturalized citizen, if you get, say, all A's, your scholarships are covered. In fact, you could also apply for scholarships. So it's a meritocracy system. You actually do get free college, except that you have to earn it. Now, instead of, say, giving free healthcare, which, by the way, you can say, yeah, it is affordable and it works, what Cenk Uygur completely failed to mention about healthcare, or say, taking money out of politics when Ben Shapiro challenged him on it. He completely failed to bring up, hey, what about the libtard country France, where I'm from? Well, I know that because I'm from France, and my mother actually talks to me about what France is like sometimes. And, well, they actually have money out of politics. You can't just pay, like, all that shit. You can't do that, actually. And you also have free healthcare, and it works. Ben Shapiro, in the debate with Cenk Uygur, pointed out a third world country. I think, like, I don't know if it was Uganda, some shitty country in probably Africa or the Middle East, where healthcare was a quote-unquote right offered by the government, except people still fucking died. Well, is America a third world or first world country? Well, you can see France, which is pretty socialist country, they have healthcare for all, they're first world, and they also have money out of politics. Well, it works. Do they have a swamp to drain? No. At least I don't hear about one. How about, like, healthcare? Do we, actually, since I'm, like, yeah, my mother's a French teacher, they have sort of a whole community around that. Everybody knows if you get super sick, like you have cancer or something, you go back to wherever your home country is. Usually it'll be either France or Belgium, because these people are French teachers, that type of place. Go back to your home country and get treated, because American healthcare is just unaffordable for the middle class. But of course, when people like Cenk Uygur's secular talk, but, like, it's disappointing. They're like, oh, well, instead of, though they, yeah, like, you know what we could do with this military spending, yeah, that fucking hoax, that rip-off, that, scam, that is, waste of your stolen taxpayer money. Let's actually go to, ending the current meritocracy system we have for college, and let's just give everybody free college. Communism, you know what that is? That is, well, if you actually work hard to earn your way to college, well, it doesn't really matter. Why would you even work hard to get to college, buddy? It's free anyway. And guess what? If you made the mistake that you'd be making if you wouldn't have free college given to you anyway under this system, if you made that mistake, which means you failed in school and you didn't get free college, you didn't earn that, what makes you think that you'll fare better in college? Because the information is actually more useful and relevant to everyday life, so you have a bigger incentive to learn it. Well, how about electives? What do you think that these people won't fail these classes? These classes are very fucking, like, useless. In fact, they are a scam, and, well, yeah, colleges, they will continue, and they should have every right to, as much as it is a scam. Yeah, just like companies should have the right to impose background checks on their employers, as much as I would never work for any company that does that, and I would oppose them. Yeah, colleges should have the right to force people, if they want to graduate from their college, to take a useless course that is as useful as it would be to just smoke fucking weed, in their class. Like, yeah, so some courses are just, not fucking interesting. But the thing is, with free college, if you didn't already earn free college through the meritocracy system, what makes you think you'll feel better in college when you didn't even have a second chance to learn? So what I would say to that is, well, if you're going to say free college, how about making a good system that actually promotes meritocracy, that improves the current meritocracy system of free college that we currently have. Now, how I would propose we do that is that I would say, instead of giving everybody free healthcare once they graduate college, anybody, including homeless people, very much including homeless people, every 4 to 5 years after they have failed high school, like, whenever they have failed high school, like, that's usually what, like, you don't get accepted into college, because, like, say your GPA is too low, your GPA grade per average, if it's, say, like, a D or an F or even a C, normally you don't get accepted to pretty much any college, and what I think is, well, for these people, every 4 to 5 years, maybe instead of giving everybody free college, let all these people who failed in high school have 4 to 5 years to actually struggle, learn what mistake they made, learn the value of the education, and not having to, like, just regret it your whole life. Let these people get a second chance. Let them learn from their mistake, actually see what they might be missing out on, what they might be spitting on by just not caring about their education. Give them 4 to 5 years, and then give them 1 semester of free college to give them a chance to get their GPA back up. Give them 1 semester every 4 to 5 years. That's a pretty damn good cooldown to give them a chance to wake up, get like, yeah, get that bucket of water like fucking over their head to get them to realize, yeah, this is what's headed for me if I don't get to work. And that gives them a chance to get back to work. If you didn't even get a chance to possibly fail and see how much your education actually was worth before, well, your second chance is fucking over, yeah, how are these people supposed to learn the fucking value of college? Like, you're not even giving them a chance to fail. But let's go back to loopholes for a second. So, of course, the United States military is a huge scam, as I already mentioned. But why would anybody be, like, especially the rich, since on average they are going to be contributing more? And you could say, yeah, tax loopholes, yeah, let's say for the sake of argument, the average huge corporation, let's say the top 10 corporation, let's say they pay 5% instead of 30%. Well, under that pretext, you could still say, if they pay 5%, them as an individual are paying more, as opposed to an average middle class person. So they would be more responsible if they didn't take these tax loopholes for funding a system that is stealing that money from them and putting it into taking lives versus saving lives. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it doesn't matter if you're first, second, or third class, you're still a person. And people in general are good people. We're social people. That's how we got to where we are. It was a collaborative effort. That's pretty much the entirety of the human species and all of its successes. Everything we built, it wasn't as individuals, it was through collaboration. And that's just people being able to empathize, and they have like their empathy only stretches to like certain people. Like, they, unfortunately, people might not be able to get, like, oh yeah, there was a shooting in like New Zealand, like 31 people died, and there was also a shooting like in the town right next to you. Neither of these people, you don't know them, but one of them died, the other was injured. Most people, Democrat or Republican, unfortunately, I was in school every time that type of scenario came out. Everybody cared more about what happened closer to them. So that's a stereotype we all need to fix, at least the Republican Party in general is being honest there. Saying, yeah, we stretch those to Americans, we're nationalists. That's nationalism is a big thing amongst the Republican Party. But yeah, like, when you have these people doing these tax loopholes, why would they be doing that? Well, why would they want to fund a giant scam that is taking so much of your money and just putting it into hypothetical foreign threats when there are non-hypothetical, actual, measurable domestic threats, such as not having healthcare, that we could actually be using this money for, and that other first world countries, such as the Lipton country, France, have, and they work. We can't really compare this to, oh, well, how about this shitty, this shithole fucking third world country that gives its citizens the rights to healthcare, but, like, I mean, what are they really gonna have? Like, what is the medical equipment that their hospitals are gonna have? Like, probably a dirty fucking spoon and some dirt on the ground. They probably don't even have water in fucking whatever. Dude, I love fucking saying this horse shit, but yeah, like, what do you know? These people who are supposed to represent being willing to die to save their people, being willing to fight for their people, that's how much they're supposed to care about their people. Well, their leaders, how are they doing? Well, it seems that they care so little about the average American person. They care so little, and they have so little respect for these people's money that they can't even be bothered to track where this money is going. They can't be fucked to keep track of where your stolen taxpayer money is going. So again, this Cenk Uygur is going to bring up, oh, tax loopholes. Yeah, do you, like, would you want to fund, fucking an organization that is based off of the premise, oh yeah, instead of focusing on concrete, measurable domestic threats, we're gonna focus on hypothetical foreign threats, such as a fucking foreign country who would want to attack the biggest nuclear arsenal on Earth by far. Yeah, no, why would any reasonable person want to do that, especially the first class who were giving more to this on an individual level? Um, why would anyone want to do that? Again, these people care so little about you and have so little respect for you that they can't even be fucked to keep track of where their money's going. But without further ado, this has been a 40-minute long dialogue. We're going to get into this debate, dude. I'm taking a lot of my prescription
You're
pills.
about to watch my debate with Tucker Carlson at Poeticon 2018. If you want to support the home of progressives, TYT, become a member today by clicking the link in the description box below.
I think what we need in America today is a productive exchange of ideas in such a polarized time, and that's why we're convening this discussion tonight. So let's bring them out first. Make some noise for the founder and host of the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur.
I fucking love seeing him get booed. Dude, I feel like for some reason, I feel like I've already reacted to this debate. I'm not sure. I probably have. Like, there's a video on it. I'm gonna make a dedicated live stream just to reacting to this. And by the way, let me, yeah, I'll have the timestamp for where the video actually starts, where my dialogue ends. Dude, on my prescription pills, it's hard for me to fucking to stop myself from going on a dialogue, dude. Like, it's just hard.
All right. All right. All right, thank you. I love Poeticon. All right, and please also welcome the host of Tucker Carlson Tonight on Fox News,
Let's
Tucker
fucking go.
Carlson.
Oh yeah, my man, bro. My T-shirt is just, I don't know why. I'm getting so fucking hot in this. I also need to refill my water bottle. But let me go ahead and refill like 2 of my water bottles. And like take this shirt off because I'm getting really hot in this. Like, let me just wait, I'm gonna be like gone for a little bit. Like dude, I'll just put the timestamp after this. It's just my audio, dude. I should have thought about that before streaming. I have a fuck ton of things to do. Yeah, I didn't even really refill the bottles. I just got some new ones. Holy well. Wait just a second here. Yeah. No, I think we got everything we need. Yeah, so, let me go ahead and see Livestream. So, 57. Okay, it's fine. Let me just put that, yeah, so something like that. That's pretty good. Anyway, let me just keep looking at this.
Thank you. I told our panelists backstage, I think Poeticon is revved up. How about you? What do you think about that? Okay, so just a quick note about format here. What we want to do is have an open dialogue to focus on the substance, to talk about some of the major issues facing our country right now. And my role is going to be to help them get from topic to topic, but I really want you guys to go back and forth. I think that will be most interesting for the audience. And my one request on behalf of the audience is that we don't talk over each other. We listen to each other so that way the audience can hear what you're saying. So let's start with an issue that's in the news right now that I think gets to some of the core challenges in our country, and that is on the topic of immigration and the group of migrants who are coming to the U.S. border. About 5,000 migrants are on their way, and we've heard President Trump.
That's what I'd like to say about that. Firstly, let's acknowledge that immigrants are not a race. Immigrant is not a race. There's a big difference between, say, xenophobia and racism. And by the way, Tucker Carlson isn't a xenophobic. He is completely pro-legal immigration. Conservatives, Republicans, like, they usually extend their empathy of Americans because they share that core ideology that, like, at least they define where they stretch their empathy to. What the fuck was I just saying? Holy shit. With that stuff, immigrant is not a race. I am an immigrant. I am a white. There are immigrants from all races, so no one is racist for being against illegal immigration. There's a practical argument for it, and the argument Tucker would make here that would be facts over feelings. But the thing is, I disagree with his facts, some of them. I will agree with Cenk Uygur on that, but my position first and foremost is, the concept of trespassing public property is an oxymoron. A whole country shouldn't be private property, and not every country is equal in the means in how much they devote to protecting their citizens' human rights. Not every country is nor as productive, nor as efficient, nor as willing as the United States to be committed to its citizens' human rights. So, that is segregation by country, and that can have a practical argument in favor of that, as opposed to a racial one for, say, like the straw man everybody is trying to make on Tucker Carlson. Oh, well, you're just a racist. You're going on with a, great replacement trend, great replacement theory. Well, guess what his version of the great replacement theory is? It's based on the 2021 Biden amnesty bill. So everyone who criticizes Tucker on his great replacement theory, they bring back the thing of Charlottesville. Well, guess what? Charlottesville happened before Biden was president. So, yeah, you just need to get your timelines right. If you're saying, oh yeah, Tucker Carlson, he's basically like, yeah, this thing in Charlottesville, they were chanting, the Jews will not replace us. Yeah, like, these people, they just had the same, they were just promoting the same, so it called the same theory, right? Well, okay, since you're going to say, oh, Tucker's a white nationalist, really the great replace, he thinks that the Jews and the black people are going to replace us. Okay, well, that's very easy for you to prove. So, give me the argument. Give me the argument for every immigrant, for every non-U.S. citizen being not only white but also Jewish. I mean, not only black but also Jewish. So since you're saying, yeah, since Tucker's against illegal immigration and he thinks illegal immigrants are going to replace us, well, give me the proof that everybody who's not a U.S. citizen is not only white, not only black but also Jewish. If you don't have evidence for that, well, your whole, oh, Tucker Carlson's great replacement theory rant is like, oh, it's racist and anti-Semitic. Yeah, okay, not true. But yeah, what Tucker would say, his practical arguments would be, yeah, like, as a nation, we just can't take on the misery of the world. We can't take that on our shoulder, because, like, we are more or less a first world country, but not the whole world is that way. Not of the world is through the world. It's suffering a lot more than us. But if we just take their misery on our shoulders, because they are people, they are just as important as we are. They should have just as much of a right to be protected by laws like ours versus laws like their countries. Like, regardless of whether or not they had the privilege, they had the luck of being born in the United States or in a first world country, or the curse of being born, say, like in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia or some stuff. I mean, what? I mean, in Afghanistan or something. It's like, yeah, these people didn't make that choice. But like, Tucker's argument would be, like, as a nation, if we're going to, like, want to flourish and be the great nation we are, to want to help these people, yeah, we need to firstly protect ourselves before doing the right thing. Firstly, we need to take care of ourselves, because if we can't even take care of ourselves, how are we supposed to take care of others? And yeah, if we can't even maintain ourselves, the whole world will just be poor. We'll just go down with them. So, like, yeah, as much as these people deserve, just like Americans, to have these rights, well, unless they earn them, unless they actually go through the process, yeah, it's fair to discriminate against them. But the thing is, firstly, Mexicans, like, these people are refugees. Like, why would anybody leave their home? Like, Republicans are pretty big on this. I care about my home. Like, I would never leave where I live. I would never leave this place. This is where I was born. I feel a sense of identity here. Well, have you ever considered the fact that other countries may have the same type of philosophy? Other countries, people in different countries may also feel that way. Like, why do you think that they are willing to just abandon everything, put everything behind to come over here? Yeah, because their country fucking oppresses them, dog. It's like, dude, I say it's like way too much. I need to try to stop that. But these people, dude, I came from France, like a country that has always been on good terms with the United States, and it's a first world country. Like, it took me so many years, like so many years of my mother just going back and forth with paperwork with the lawyer, just so much money too. I know some people, it took them like pretty much 20 years to get a green card, and they're like, what, from Belgium, from France, all that stuff. Like, how do you expect people running from the drug cartels, who are refugees, they're trying to escape the misery of their, like, oppressive regime, to come here. They just also have the American dream. Like, shouldn't you see that more as like, oh yeah, well that shows that they have a sense of identity with us. They are trying to get away from Mexico, and they're trying to come over here because they, just like us, they want a system like ours. That's like the thing that unites like America, is like you care more about Americans because we have this sense of shared well, if these people want to come here, and as Tucker says, that shows some good about them. But yeah, that's my whole that's pretty much my whole position on this. I think they have every right to pursue a better life in a better country if they're being oppressed, and we have absolutely that duty to take it upon ourselves. Because like on top of that, yeah, one thing I forgot to mention, these immigrants, apparently they pay more into social security than like they take out of the system, things like that. Also that whole thing with crime, that's all sort of bullshit, because immigrants, legal and non-legal, commit crime at half the rate that your average like native-born American does. And that makes sense on an intuitive level, again, because if you're fleeing like some foreign country, if you came over here, you abandoned everything to come here, chances are that country is a pretty oppressive country, and you have like, now that you're an immigrant, especially an illegal one, you have incentive not to want to commit crime, because then you could be deported back into the shithole you really wanted so badly to escape from, that you abandoned everything over there. So yeah, that's
make
about
statements saying that they will not be allowed in. Obviously, it's a major humanitarian crisis and so on to start.
A lot of them illegal, by the way. These refugees, what's it called? I forgot the term for, like, the count, like, yeah, they, fuck, but, like, most of them are legal, like, as Cenk Uygur pointed out, yeah, actually, Cenk Uygur pointed that out, I'm not gonna say that right now. Like,
Tucker, you know, how do we address this situation of people who are definitely suffering a lot, but also don't have visas to come in? How do we start to approach this situation?
Well, I mean, you have to create a hierarchy of imperatives. First of all, thanks so much for having me.
And I agree with that, and that shows, like, Tucker Carlson is just going from a nationalist standpoint. We all know you. Oh, I thought he was saying we are all your bitch because I'm very high. And by the way, this is not a true. This is very true. I do take pride in being a beta male. And in fact, I'll like this comment, just like I liked my other comment. Oh yeah, dude. Okay, let's see.
I'm really glad to be.
Oh, dude, I don't want anybody to leave, so I'm not going to do that. It's only, yeah, it's like 11. Yeah, who the fuck? Yeah, never mind.
Be here and in a room full of people who don't live in Washington with someone smart to talk to, and I'm going to really try to be as sort of civil and polite as I can, and maybe my mind will be changed, because in this world things are changing so fast. Why wouldn't your mind change? So maybe you can change my mind. I would say on the question of this group of migrants coming north, the one that came.
So, Cenk Uygur, by the way, like I saw, like, between him with Ben Shapiro and him with Tucker Carlson, he's a pretty damn good debater, and I expected Sam Setter to be probably better than him. Like, usually underground people tend to be fucking better quality for some reason, but like, Sam Setter actually did really bad in this debate. Like, he got fucking owned. But yeah, Cenk Uygur misses on a lot of topics, such as in the Ben Shapiro debate. Like, Ben Shapiro didn't have a problem even cherry picking, like going to, yeah, this country that is third world, they have healthcare. They have healthcare for all. Look in their laws. You'll find that. Yeah. Do they actually have healthcare though? No, they don't. if you go over there and you have a deadly disease and you go to the hospital, like you'll probably fucking die. And Cenk Uygur, with between money and politics and healthcare, like all that, he doesn't even point out, well, France, the libtard country, I know that because I am from there. They have both of these things. They are first world, more like the United States, and it works. But yeah, Cenk Uygur definitely has some debatability. If he just pointed out things that are more relevant, things that matter more, if he just made better points, he'd be definitely much better. But yeah, it's sort of sad that like while he will like actually try to make sense and reason with the other person on the bay, like his Twitter platform which will get the most traction, like I say like way too much, dude. He will just on his Twitter platform spread divisive hate. All of the stuff that he says, like it's stuff like, oh yeah, the Democrats, the liberals, they're gonna be huge on that. That's a lot of virtue signaling. Then yeah, that pandering, the Democrats, they're gonna love that shit. But guess what? None of the stuff that he might tweet is going to change any Republican's opinion. Like it's just going to pander to the people who already agree with him, and no one's going to change their mind from what he says. And that's a theme you might notice with everything that he tweets. It's like him sort of trying to trigger the conservatives, just like the conservatives tend to, well, yeah, let's trigger the libs. Yeah, he just tries to trigger conservatives and virtue signal and pander to his audience on Twitter. I think he should stop doing that, but...
3 months ago coming north, the 22 million...
Dude, let me just go back a bit. Dude, I need to stop speaking so much.
People who don't live in Washington, with someone smart to talk to, and I'm going to really try to be as sort of civil and polite as I can, and maybe my mind will be changed, because in this world, things are changing so fast. Why wouldn't your mind change? So maybe you can change my mind. I would say on the question of this group of migrants coming north, the one that came 3 months ago coming north, the 22 million who are currently living here illegally, it's all sort of species of the same question, which is the first question. I mean, there are many questions, and one of them is, what do you know, how do you help other people? And a lot of smart people run NGOs are thinking about that in Washington, and some are doing a good job, others are not. But the main question the U.S. government has to answer is, how do we enforce our laws voted on democratically by our Congress? And how do we protect
none of these people are legal,
our
yeah.
people,
Cenk's
the people to whom we have really the only duty that we have, right? I mean, the purpose of the government is to protect you and to help you. And again, I'm a Christian, and...
But thing is, like, that's where the legal versus moral split begins, because... yeah, the law might be made for that for practical reasons, but you could still say, yeah, these people didn't choose to be born elsewhere, and it's not like, oh, well, you were just born elsewhere, you just have the same right, just under a different country, just stay in your country, and like that would make sense in the way that yeah, like you as an American, you don't have the natural right to just cross over Mexico's border and just go to Mexico illegally. They have every right to say, oh, well, you don't come, you just weren't born here. You get, like, your rights guaranteed under America's constitution, not under Mexico's whatever the fuck they have. But thing is, not every country is equal in how they consider it. And why would Americans, fundamentally, if the law, if we have a legal system that represents this mentality of, yeah, while other people who might legit just be born, like, a kilometer away from another person whose rights we do, in fact, cover, because they were born on the right side of the border, yeah, like, this person, has human rights, but the other person, yeah, they can get murdered by the cartels, and it's like, yeah, like, sorry, we just don't guarantee your rights. Mexico does that, and clearly they don't do a good job at it, since, like, you're getting murdered by the cartels. But, like, I mean, that's Mexico's problem. That's not our problem. Yeah, when the government does that, you can absolutely say, yeah, there's, like, practical, justification, but that is a problem. Like, you see that is a problem. It needs to be addressed, and, like, I would say, no, that's absolutely a flaw in the legal system. These people, they deserve our empathy just as much as any American deserves our empathy. And when you have a system like that, yeah, maybe something needs to change. And in fact, immigrants, they only help our system. They contribute to the economy. They allow people, say, big businesses to not have to abide by the theft system that our socialist government, like semi-socialist government has, such as, oh, well, you have to pay a minimum wage. You don't get to put the price you want on the service that you are asking for. So yeah, you don't get to choose how much the service that you are proposing costs. That's theft. You don't get to put a price on your fucking service, and it's like, it's your fucking service. You should be the one putting a price on it. Well, illegal immigration can help fix that problem because they can be employed at any wage. And again, I think that's wrong. If I owned McDonald's, I would start paying everybody well, firstly, I would make sure we all switched to just plant-based products, plant-based alternatives to what we have. Make sure, like, I would have enough money at that point to ensure that, like, to create some product that has the same look, same texture, same taste, and probably costs less because animals cost more to feed than the grains that we feed them. That's a big point. If we just fed these grains to people, we could end world hunger. But let's just put the animal agriculture aside. Yeah, if I were to own McDonald's, yeah, I would pay all my workers, like, at least $30 an hour. I'm sure McDonald's could afford that. But thing is, it's their property rights, and especially when the middle class, they see them sort of as the people who are, like, just demanding more money from them, just being that entitled, demanding that they get paid more. Like, yeah, you sort of start to think, yeah, like, if these people are so entitled, they want my money to be stolen from me. Maybe that's why those people don't tend to empathize a lot with the middle class and tend to be sort of psychotic. Like, oh yeah, let's just let these people have shitty like life standards. That we're not paying them a lot. But I'm sure the middle class would have the same fucking reaction to the third class if homeless people, when you give them just $1, when you could definitely give them way more than that, it'd benefit them way more than it would detriment you to lose, like, say, $5. You just have $5. You're in a car. They don't have a car. You probably have a house too. That's probably where you're going back to after your McDonald's. They don't have a car. They don't have a house. They need they probably need your food and your money more than you do. You could just go back to the drive-thru, buy some more McDonald's for yourself, and give them your dinner and give them $5. But if you're going to be just a bit nice to the average middle class and you give a homeless person $1, they're going to tell you thank you, as opposed to the average middle class response, which would be, hey, that's not enough. That's not my fair share, bitch. I want more than that. And yeah, if a homeless person responded that way when you're like, hey, here's $1, yeah, I think the average middle class person would say, well, fuck you, fag, I'm not giving you any money then. That's probably what businesses are doing, because, again, people are human, whether they be rich or poor, whether they be police officers or not police officers, whether they be black or white, whether they be trans, gay or cis, or straight, or whatever. It's like, yeah, most people are good people.
And I think I'm a person of not particularly good faith, but decent faith, okay? So I'm always sort of for helping people, but the government's job is to represent the voters and enforce the laws that they sent their representatives to Washington to pass. And that's kind of all their job is, actually. So our law says that you need permission to come into this country, and that is the law of every country that is a country.
Most of these people do actually have permission, but either way, why would you need permission? This is public property. A country cannot be like you don't own the world. Everybody like why would any certain person own a chunk of like just a continent or a country any more than like someone else who's also born on the earth? Like, do you own this country? Do you have why do you have more of a right to be there just because you were born there? That's just like saying, well, because your ancestors were born in Africa, you should only have the right to go to Africa. We're upon you because you're black. Well, you don't have any more of a choice over whether or not your ancestors were born, say, in Africa versus the United States or Europe. Well, the United States. Well, that was fucking retard moment for me. Like, just like you don't get really to have a say over whether you are born in the US versus, say, Mexico. And, like, yeah, these people, most of the time, they share our values. Because, like, you could just see them, because, well, I'm so fucking high, and I'm about to get higher, by the way, but, yeah, like, what the fuck was I just saying? Fucking out. Yeah, like, just like you don't, get, like, yeah, I was on that, ancestor versus yourself thing, so, being born, like, in a specific place versus in another place, you don't get any more control. That doesn't define your character anymore, and that's not any more of a choice. That's just, doesn't define your character. You should not base, someone's representation in the legal system and, like, the protection of their human rights based on nor where they were born, nor where their ancestors were born, because, like, for all practical purposes, it's the same thing.
And without that, you're sort of not a country. So, I mean, you could ask the obvious question, which is, you know, there are an awful lot of poor people around the world. Does everyone have a right to come here and go on Medicaid? I don't know. I mean, if you think so, let's, you know, speak slowly so I can understand, and let's talk it through. And
they have to pay into it then. And by the way, that's a whole, like, are you for or against stolen taxpayer money? But, yeah, I'd say if we're going to have, say, free healthcare. I don't even know the difference between, like, Medicare and Medicaid. I'm not going to speak on any of that because I don't know what any of that is. I don't know what Medicare or Medicaid is. I just know free healthcare. Let's say we have free healthcare in the United States. Are Mexicans, should they be allowed to come here and have free healthcare? Well, if they pay into it. And Mexicans, they don't come here to be homeless. Just so you know, like, the immigrants we have, they aren't the homeless people we have out in the streets, okay? Like, homeless people, so I don't fucking, know if that's true, or, like, it would make sense. I've heard a lot of them have mental disorders, and I definitely know in our society, we don't treat people's mental disorders in a very, efficient way. We tend to tell them, oh, so you have oh, yeah, well, you need help, you have problems. Oh, well, I'm glad you came to the right people. So, basically, like, that was my thing with, I had depression. I was saying, like, I'm not really doing well, and, I had some problems. I tried reaching out for help, and, yeah, basically the response was, well, very glad you came here. You came to the right place, of course, and, well, in fact, do you know what's going to happen if you come back to us for more help? Well, yeah, we're just gonna let you know what's gonna happen right now, and, why you shouldn't, want more help, because this is the help we're gonna get you. Some advice, come here again, with some problems. Well, we're sorta, like, fixing to lock you up, okay? So, like, you like, tell, yeah, is there something wrong with you? Like, I don't know, it sounds like, you might be, I don't know, we have some self-harm rhetoric, as if, I wanted to fucking kill myself, but, like, yeah, we hear that type of shit, so, yeah, like, if you come back to us for help, if we hear again that you're not doing well, yeah, like, we might lock you up, so just consider that. So, yeah, I know around, like, mental issues, probably around drug problems, even worse, yeah, we don't tend to treat that type of stuff well, so, like, immigrants, they have, like, they cross over, like, do you think, the people who have severe mental disorders, do you think they are, on our scales, mostly capable of doing that? And then just be, like, no, these people came over here to escape misery. Like, they are determined and ready to work hard, and they do work hard. Like, these people are the people who are going to be paying into, like, Medicare, Social Security. Yeah, they damn right should have a right to benefit from it. If they pay into it, they pay more into it, in fact, than they take out on average.
Tell me why. Where does that obligation come from exactly? Is it written in the Constitution?
Well, it's not written in the Bible either, as he points out. That's pretty funny. But where does it come from? Well, our moral duty to just be consistent with it. Hey, like, what makes Americans deserve, oh yeah, we're not gonna let you be killed by the cartels, but I'm sorry, like, if you were born, like, just, I don't know, one kilometer in this direction, or, like, say 1 mile in this direction, it's like, yeah, then you would have a human right not to be murdered, or, like, raped, or all of that stuff. Like, then we would protect your right. Absolutely, you have that right. But, like, yeah, you're just not born in the right place. So, like, I'm sure it's bad. Like, I like, yeah, do I feel bad for you? Sure, I feel bad for you. But, like, yeah, that's sort of not our problem, though. But sure, it's bad. Yeah, you getting raped. I'm totally on board with, no problem with saying, yeah, that's bad, but what are we gonna do about it? Well, I don't know, it's not really our problem. So, like, yeah, it's bad, sure, but, like, I mean, fuck, what do you want me to say? It's like,
Constitution is in the
yeah, we have the means to be able to help with that. We should do that. But let me make sure that my hair is starting to look sort of dumb. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to keep looking at stream chat just in case. Now it says 2 likes. I'm guessing. Yeah, yeah. So I'm probably not getting any. Let me put maybe some more stuff in the tags. Okay, what do we not? Well, we don't want that. That's has nothing to do with Elon Musk either. Yeah, I just have these as my yeah, that might I talked about him a bit. Nick Fuentes has nothing to do with this. Cenk Uygur versus Tucker Carlson debate. That has nothing to fucking. Why is this getting into all of my streams now? I put that on one stream and now it's just. Yeah, I mentioned them. I guess that's pretty clickbaity. So Poeticon probably. That's probably a good tag to put. Yeah. By the way, I heard apparently, I think his name is Cenk Uygur. I always say Cenk Uygur because, like, I don't know. That's sort of how it's written. The fucking like grammar and stuff. All that stuff in English is fucking retarded, dude. But yeah, apparently Tucker like mispronounced his name like at some point like on his show, and Cenk Uygur was like, "You're racist," and it's like. Like, are you even, what is this guy's race? This guy looks, sort of mixed, like, half white, half black, or half whatever, half whatever, It's like, this guy is definitely not black, okay, and, he's also a legal immigrant, so, Tucker Carlson doesn't discriminate against him, so, yeah, I think his name isn't Cenk Uygur, it's Cenk Uygur. Like, wait, yeah, whatever. I don't
the Bible. What exactly are you saying? But you're not hearing that. Instead, you're hearing an awful lot of the kind of moral bullying that has come to characterize all of our political conversation.
Imagine getting morally bullied. Like, I'd rather that any day to being born in Mexico, and getting to be killed by the cartels. I'd much rather go through moral bullying and be born in the United States than go through rape and murder because I was born, let's say, 20 fucking meters away from the United States. like, yeah, just you have this fine line, like, yeah, you're born beyond there, yeah, your human rights don't really matter anymore, because, like, yeah, we aren't in charge of that, that's, this other country, and, like, these people want to come over here because it's better, like, that's sort of why, conservatives tend to, like, say, yeah, Americans, that's who we want to protect, yeah, what's so special about Americans? They hold our shared common values of, like, America. Well, these people, they want to come here, so they share these values.
Where
Right?
the person you're debating, in this case I'm debating, begins with the presumption of I'm a better person than you. I care more deeply for these people than you do, and if you were a good person, you would agree with me. Well, I mean, that's a theological debate. And I reserve a huge part of Sundays for those. But that's not really a public policy debate. There isn't much of a public policy debate here. Our laws are as they are, and if you want to change them, send representatives to Washington, and maybe we're about to see that happen. But there's a massive...
Did my audio just go down all of a sudden? Let me see. Wait.
I care more deeply for the...
Yeah, it definitely did. Dude, like,
policy debate. There isn't much of a public policy debate here. Our laws are as they are, and if you want to change...
Yeah, I feel like most Americans are actually in favor of it. To be fair, I guess I can sort of take that back, because, like, which are the states that are going to be dealing with this border crisis? Well, it's southern states, mostly, because these immigrants are going to be migrating from Mexico, mostly, they're crossing the border, into what states? Like, the southern states. And it seems when DeSantis tries to, give a taste of what they're going through, to other places, such as Martha's Vineyard, perfect, where Obama lives, that doesn't make him right, but he's just trying to say, hey, well, look, do you want to deal with this? Like, this is a part of the conversation. It's not just about whether or not we want to help these people. Well, then those fucking liberals up north, they'll be like, oh, well, actually, no, we didn't agree to all that. You're human trafficking, because, yeah, if you transport people from inside your country to outside the country, that's, say, deportation. If you put them back in the hands of, say, the drug cartels who are gonna murder them, that's a good thing. That's just, I mean, that's that's just slightly bad. That's deportation. You're giving them back into the hands of probably their murderers, since they were escaping. Why would they do that? Versus if you deport them from a state in the country which doesn't really tend to welcome them, is pretty xenophobic, to some other place inside the country where they are notoriously more well accepted, hence it being a blue area, yeah, that's human trafficking. Yeah, I'd rather be human trafficked, into the hands of people who supposedly are more empathetic towards me, than, be kindly deported back into the hands of those who are gonna murder me. So I'd say that, but, definitely, like, yeah, it is a different, like, there is a conversation to be fucking had there, but, yeah, like, it's true, the red states, like, they're gonna be the ones taking mass, immigration onto their shoulders, and, like, yeah, they tend to be red, but still, like, immigrants have a human right to, escape fucking, oppression, just as much as we in the United States have a right to follow the American dream. There's a reason why these people are called dreamers, and then given amnesty. Yeah, you're giving amnesty to people who share your common beliefs, and in fact have lived now in the United States for a long time, so, yeah, no reason. They also contribute to the system. They should get the benefits that other people get out of the system, because they're also paying into it. That's,
send representatives to Washington to do that, and maybe we're about to see that happen. But there's a massive cost to any government saying, because of political pressure, temporary political pressure, we're going to ignore our own laws. Then why can't I ignore the law? I pay way more taxes than I feel like paying. There are all kinds of...
Dude, is this going to be...
And I would also argue that there is a...
Oh my god.
Other than the virtue debate, which is not interesting. massive cost to any government saying because of political pressure, temporary political pressure, we're going to ignore our own laws. Then why can't I ignore the law?
I don't remember the volume just going down to shit at that. I don't know what
Pay
that's
way
about.
more taxes than I feel like paying. There are all kinds of things that I would like to ignore. I'm not really sure what the debate is. To be totally blunt with you, other than the virtue debate, which is not interesting.
Go to Cenk here.
Yeah. All right, so let's break it down. And backstage, we had far too much agreement, so let's break that up.
I'm really surprised that no one is bringing this. Like, I've never heard anybody bring up this position. Yeah, isn't it sort of the same thing, practically speaking? Like, if you go by any measure through which you might say, oh no, this is like one is different. Like, wouldn't it sort of be the same to say, based on where you were born, we don't grant you equal rights, as opposed to people who say we're born here, where you were born determines how many rights like how much your rights are protected versus where your ancestors were born, because, well, practically speaking, you don't have any more of a choice over either one, and neither one shapes your character. Like, neither one shapes like any aspect of who you are, which might actually be relevant in the discussion of whether or not your rights should be protected. Like, why aren't we having this?
First of all, on the caravan, I feel like Fox News
The audio is
from
8.
time to time touches on it, but overall misleads. And I'll tell you why, Tucker. It makes it sound like the caravan's going to come in and bust through a gate of some sort and then go ravaging in the country. Well, the reality is, the reason they're in a caravan is because they're seeking asylum. So if they wanted to sneak into the country, they wouldn't do it in a giant caravan. So...
And I actually didn't know that beforehand. I thought, oh well, they might be illegal, but like the country's sort of making exemptions for them because like yeah, we're just not really, like, under the Democrats, they just aren't really enforcing their immigration laws because they have morals and they're driven by morals to not just kick all these people out. That's at least, like, since I watched Tucker Carlson a lot, that's his point of view, and he backs that up with a lot. But, like, no, apparently, these people are legal. That makes way more sense, too.
There are also laws in place on how to seek asylum, and that is exactly what they're following. So that caravan actually, in a way, should be celebrated because they are not going to cross the border illegally. They are going to go to a port where you ask for asylum. Now, Donald Trump is suggesting that we should reject asylum out of hand without talking to people. Now, that is not the law, and that is not the American way.
True.
And so, and Tucker, I don't want you to take this the wrong way. I'm not trying to compare you or Fox News or anybody to this. I'm just giving an extreme example of what happens when you don't listen to people. So we've done that in the past. In the 1930s and 40s.
You fucking don't. Just, wait. Well, I'm gonna be right back with you when I'm done, smoking that. Let's extend the show. Hopefully I get some people eventually watching other than myself. Let's get some activity in this chat. Well, I sort of forgot what I was about to say. I need to...
don't listen to people. So
oh, I remember that.
In the past.
Yeah, but whatever. Dude, just don't make that Nazi reference. Because, like, as much as Nazi references, like, I have no problem with them. You're, like, by drawing a parallel... Fuck fuck no. Yeah, by drawing a parallel between some that you would argue is bad and something that everybody, like, no one will dispute this other thing is bad, that sort of gives you some leeway to maybe get on a just yeah, have some agreement with the other person. Maybe get on a what's it called? Yeah, maybe reach some type of agreement, because yeah, everybody can like agree. Yeah, the Holocaust was bad. We don't have to go into was the Holocaust bad or good. Like that's something that we're all united under. But thing is, you don't need to make historical references to prove your point now. Like, just say what's happening now. You don't have to say, well, back in the day, we rejected the Jews and that the Nazis killed them. Talk about, well, today we're rejecting these people who are seeking asylum. Well, guess why someone might be trying to flee their home? Would you ever flee your home, the United States? Would the average American leave their house or be willing to, like, is the American type idea, does that go more like, yeah, if you try to take our house, if you try to, like, seize our property, build a wall in the middle of my property, or, like, just seize my property, if you try to tell me I can't be here when I've lived here my whole life, you try to build something in the middle of my property, yeah, bro, like, we're back to 1776, I'll fucking fight for where I live, because I fucking have a sense of identity here, I'll fight to get to stay here and own this place, like, yeah, that's sort of the American idea. Most of these people, they really care about where they were born too. They do have a sense of identity there because, like, yeah, they've lived there their whole lives. These people are fleeing for a reason. One big thing that Tucker Carlson mentions a lot, he says a lot, yeah, Mexico's in the middle of a drug war. Yeah, so, doesn't that sort of answer your question of why would these people be coming here anyway? Like, you don't have to point out, oh yeah, by the way, like, the Nazis killed the Jews back then, and, like, that was fucking bad too, bro. And like, dude, that can be a completely good argument, but since most people, they'll do that retard shit, or, oh no, that's like, they'll just take offense to that and go on that defensive virtue signaling thing of, oh, Nazi reference. I don't think there's anything wrong with a Nazi reference. If you want to compare, say, I don't know, me fucking, like, using a vape because you think that's bad, like, yeah, there are arguments to say, yeah, vaping, that is at least bad for your health. If you think it should be illegal for me to do things that are bad for my health, like, some people think that, like, if there's something that you don't like about what I do, and for some reason, like, you think there are parallels to draw between, say, me vaping, if you have an argument for which, like, yeah, the Holocaust being bad has a comparison to be drawn to me smoking my vape being bad, and you want to bring that against me, you want to say, yeah, just like the Holocaust was bad for this reason, you vaping is bad for the same reason. Like, go ahead and make that argument. Like, by making that, you're not saying, yeah, like, because you vape, and because the Holocaust was bad, like, you're pretty much like the Holocaust. Like, what you do is pretty much, like, you might as well be defending the Holocaust. Like, no, that's not what Nazi references are made for. They are made for practical reasons. Some we can all agree on the Holocaust was bad, so, so that we could just come to terms on some things, let's just point out a scenario that we can definitely agree that, like, just, universally, we all agree that that was bad. So if we can, draw comparisons, of, we can agree that the Holocaust was bad, and that this was a part of the Holocaust, and that made the Holocaust bad. That was bad in the context of the Holocaust. And we can, like, just then juxtapose that to the context we're trying to attack, and we can actually point out how with the situation, how that compares to the Holocaust, and like just point out any fucking thing. Yeah, this aspect of the Holocaust made the Holocaust bad. We can say in that context as well. Well, in this context, for the same reason, what you're doing is bad, or your idea is bad. Since we can all agree the Holocaust is bad, that's just a good thing to go back to. That's just like in practice. That's just useful to go back to, like, Holocaust references. Okay, we don't have to go through, oh, well, is this good or bad? No, like, Holocaust references, we can just already start on, yeah, this is bad. So, but you don't have to do that, and people just like to virtue signal and just, like, play snowflake and all, and, oh, well, you're comparing me to the Holocaust? Like, no, that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is just pointing out something that we can all objectively agree on, this is wrong, like that we don't have to get into that debate. We're just trying to be efficient, point out some we can agree on, and just make reference, draw a parallel, and just explain how, yeah, for the same reason that we, like, in a context we can all agree is bad, if you can agree that this aspect of the Holocaust was bad, well, and that just opens up a debate. It doesn't have to go in a toxic direction, because just because there are parallels being drawn doesn't mean you support the Holocaust, obviously. But like, it's not efficient to make Holocaust references, politically speaking. It doesn't help your case. People don't what's it called, bond with that, because they just say, oh, well, you're trying to make a huge personal attack, when that's like, oh, you're comparing me to the Holocaust, like, that's a huge straw man. But that's just a huge stereotype, and obviously Cenk Uygur cares about pandering. On his Twitter, all he does is pander to his fucking base, and like, just like, what's it called, fan out anybody who might disagree with him. He definitely like, pushes them away. Like, yeah, you're definitely not pandering to anyone by making that Holocaust reference. You don't need a Holocaust reference. Just say, yeah, these people, they're getting murdered by the drug cartels. We're sending them back. Just point out examples. You're obviously well read. Should have written on that, like, examples of people, well, they came here seeking asylum, they got rejected, they got sent back, these refugees got sent back, and, like, yeah, they got murdered by the drug cartels. What do you know? We don't need it. That's why I'm just against fucking this huge pressing thing on just, like, relying on history to make arguments. It's like, we're just replacing critical thinking and logic with just just cookie cutter. Oh, well, let's just let's just replace that with memorizing stuff. Oh, well, yeah. Do you know the Holocaust? You know that if I need to be taught that gassing Jews was bad back then. Oh, well, look at Hitler. He gassed Jews and that was bad. Like, if I can't understand without like, learning about the fact that Hitler did what he did, that, yeah, gassing Jews, that's probably a bad thing. Even if it hadn't happened in the past, it would still be as bad. Yeah, like, you don't need history to be able to understand, yeah, this is good or bad. It doesn't matter whether such and such was good or bad back then, that such and such already happened, because, yeah, especially in school, what do you learn in history? You don't learn, like, the lesson, what did these people do? Like, you don't get the actual big picture, the important details. You just learn the stuff that is specific to back then. What was the date of that? Who were the names of these people involved? What was the name of, like, this treaty? Where did this happen? What was the names of, like, the shits and so how many people were were killed, how many people involved were there. And all of these make it even more specific to the situation instead of learning what was the general mistake. Why was Hitler allowed to do that shit? So history doesn't fucking help us. We shouldn't make these historical references because it's not going to be the same. History isn't going to directly repeat itself. Anybody who's smart enough to organize something that will work, like organize a propaganda on, they aren't going to repeat history. If they're trying to do what Hitler did, and they're smart enough to be able to have a chance at getting into power and doing that, they're going to be smart enough to not just redo the same stuff in the same way. Because they don't want the trick to be just blown. They don't want the cover to be blown. So yeah, there'll always be differences. So instead of pointing out, hey, yeah, like we've killed people back then, by the way, and like that was bad. So like I guess on that premise, killing people today would be bad since we used to do it. Yeah, don't make the historical reference. It's useless. Just say, yeah, this is bad today. Because like it doesn't matter if the Holocaust happened. If the Holocaust hadn't happened, like letting people who were just like just fucking escaping like possible death, just people who were just trying to have us rescue them, just giving them back into the hands of their murderers, that it doesn't matter if we had already done something similar, it would still be wrong now.
In the 1930s and 40s, Jews came here on boats asking for asylum, and we sent them back. And one particular ship that came to Florida that was...
And the next thing is that then Tucker's going to retaliate with the historical reference. Well, it was good for the economy back then. When this and Cenk Uygur, by making the Nazi reference, it's clear that he isn't trying to make a fucking economy type argument. He's making a purely moral argument. And then since history, the context was different, that allows Tucker to be like, well, back then we actually needed these people. When it's like, this is a moral argument, and it's just, like, you're allowing it to be sidetracked. It doesn't matter what did or didn't happen and whether or not it was wrong back then, and whether, since now we, yeah, like, that was back then. We aren't politically incorrect if we, like, accept that that was bad. But, like, yeah, we're not gonna teach you. It's not a... You won't be taught in school yet. Doing the same thing to Mexicans is bad, because that's a right now thing, so it's controversial, but it's like... Yeah, just don't mention the Holocaust. You don't need to bring that up. And then that whole tangent that I remember them going on with, back then it would actually have helped the economy, and I'm making an economical argument. Yeah, Tucker definitely has an economic argument, but this moral argument of, well, whether or not, like, let's just suppose, for the sake of argument, that they hurt instead of help the economy, which is false, by the way, but is it, we can't just brush that off and be like, oh, well, like, they're coming here as refugees seeking asylum, they're trying to escape, like, the torment of their oppressive regime. Well, they're coming here to, like, to be rescued, and we're sending them back to be killed by the drug cartels, but, like, not doing that would hurt the economy. Like, that's where you're gonna end that argument? Like, are you fucking retarded? Like, no, that's not where it ends.
25% of those people were murdered in a concentration camp. And God knows what happened to those.
Who the fuck cares? When we could just point out, God knows how many of the people we send back, why were they trying to come here? Maybe because they were going to get killed by the drug cartels. It doesn't matter whether it was also bad back then for these people to have been killed. You don't need to point that out.
75%. there's sometimes a good reason to hear them out. And what we're asking for is something very simple, and that is within the law, hear them out. It's not too much to ask for.
Within the law is key here. That's his only good point here.
And I'll let the whole Nazi reference go unremarked upon. But I would say, look, if I have one criticism of him...
At least Tucker isn't toxic like that. Good thing he's debating Tucker here.
They haven't traveled enough. And
like the average conservative would just go on a tangent and be the average snowflake they complain about.
You have traveled a lot, and one thing you learn when you travel is there are a lot of really important parts of the world. So nothing that is happening in Guatemala right now, or Honduras, or Salvador, is unique to those countries, or even to Central America, Latin America.
Bro, I need to see this. I was at 8. Is the audio fucked for the entirety of this?
That there's a real... I mean, look, I sincerely appreciate this because...
Oh my god, it is.
Salvador is unique to those countries, or even to Central America, Latin America, or even this hemisphere. That kind of thing is happening all over the world, where for a bunch of different reasons, most of them political, millions upon millions, billions, in fact, of people are suffering and desperate. And of course, my heart goes out to all of them. The question is, what duty does the U.S. government have to them? And I would argue it doesn't have a duty to them, okay? It has a duty to its own...
Yeah, but that's where the split between legality and morality comes in. Say, for taxpayers, I think that's a different thing, because it's your money. You should get to say, no, I don't own anything. I don't owe society anything for being born in it. But we don't own this country just for being born in it. No, like this isn't wealth, this isn't property, this is land, this is public property. Like, you can't trespass public property. We don't own a say in, from our entitled fucking point of view, where we were born in a position on the earth where a country like the United States, where we won't have to flee from, to go to some better country, where we've never had that struggle, because where we were born, we get the privilege, which should be a right, of having a country which protects our human rights, at least to a big enough extent for us not to have an incentive in masses to want to leave. Well, us from our entitled point of view, which we didn't earn, we just were born here, just like people say black people, they didn't earn their blackness. Their ancestors didn't either, but the ancestors were born in Africa. That was also not an accomplishment. Just like gay pride, you didn't earn your gayness. That's not an accomplishment. Why are you proud of that? It's like, I mean, yeah, to me, I don't like that concept. I think it's sort of like white power. Like, you didn't earn being white. That's not an accomplishment. Why are you proud of that? But yeah, same thing for people from, like, yeah, people who are entitled to government, which will protect their rights, which won't allow them to be violently murdered by cartels, for example. To allow these people who didn't earn that right to have a say, to just get the entire say in those people who actually don't, who actually do have to live through these struggles, which are deadly, who actually do live under an oppressive regime, and clearly want to come here, like, yeah, we've never actually had to deal with their issues. We maybe can't really empathize with it, otherwise clearly, from a humanitarian perspective, we'd at least let them in. But us from that privileged point of view, relative to them, we get to have the entire say in whether their struggles are real enough for us to, like, let that level of empathy. Like, there's a clear disconnect between the legal and moral fucking thing here. And sure, Tucker Carlson is arguing, well, there is like, not really any fucking argument to have here. Do we owe them legally any empathy, say? Do we have any legal duty towards them? No, because well, we only have a duty towards our people. That's the Constitution. But yeah, the Constitution is not a basis for morality. That's why even our founding fathers, who were imperfect like us, in fact, they were in favor of slavery, they recognized that, like, yeah, there are imperfections and society can change and we can get better. That's why we can edit the Constitution. And if we're gonna argue that there should still be a political debate, that we shouldn't just end the political drama because our system's just good as it is. I don't want any change. Yeah, like, legality is not the foundation for morality. And when there's a clear split like this between legality and morality, they're so inconsistent with one another. You have to go into that. You have to explain why you would take the legal position over the moral position on this particular issue. Go into both the upsides and downsides, outweigh them. Tucker's first thing was we have to set a hierarchy of priorities, and that's the thing. You have to put the upsides, the moral downsides of banning illegal immigration, even for asylum seekers, versus the upsides, legally speaking, of banning them. Like, you have to actually just put those, like, juxtapose these two. And, like, that's the only way you have a fair discussion on this. Juxtapose these. Don't separate them and be like, oh, well, either you're for the, like, that legal thing, well, you're just a moral, you're just a nationalist, and you know what, you're just, at this point, we might as well call you a racist. So, you know what? There you go. That's where you are, buddy. There you go. Racist. Yeah, like, that's not how we fucking go by this. On one side, oh, well, you don't care about morals, you're just racist. And on the other side, oh, well, legally speaking. And it's like, oh, well, morals, but how about the law? And how about the economy? And it's like, these people are fucking dying. Address that too. Like, explain why, don't just address, like, don't just respond to the moral argument with the legal argument also exists. Like, explain, go into both of those, compare those, and, like, explain why, well, we should let people die over accepting these, economic, or say, like, whatever types of downsides would come from not letting these people die. Address the intentions of both sides and juxtapose them, compare them, and say, yeah, I would rather say this over that, and this is how much of a what, maybe discuss a balance. That's how you get some.
Now that's not, again, I think people of goodwill have a lot they can do to help those people, okay? I do think that. But the government is something very different. And I would also argue that there is a cost to this, a cost that the left used to recognize. It was once obvious. So I grew up in this state.
Immigrants pay more into Social Security than they take out. Immigrants commit legal and illegal crime at half the rate that native-born U.S. citizens do. Immigrants, they actually make the economy better. They are mostly not homeless. They aren't gonna, like, migrate over here to make up the new homeless population. No, they actually help the economy. They take up more jobs, and they bring more of a meritocracy, which is competition. Oh, well, Mexicans, they're still not American jobs. Well, what more rights do you have? Why do you have more of a right to this job than someone who was born elsewhere just because you were born here? Like, yeah, they're trying to come here because over here is more just to them. Like, they didn't have equal rights in their country, so that's the American dream. They're like you in the way that they're trying to pursue that. That's why they came here. And what more of a right do you have than them just for being born here? That's not meritocracy at play. Meritocracy at play would be competition. Oh, well, these people, they were born elsewhere, and maybe, like, they were motivated to, like, to have to come here, to have to flee that oppressive government, and, like, see the importance of hard work, and, like, be motivated to go into this world and give it the best, to give it, like, the best they have, because they know what's elsewhere, and they aren't as entitled to all that stuff. yeah, like that's more meritocracy. That's competition. They deserve this job more than fucking you as an American if they are willing to get paid less, maybe even below minimum wage. That's just better fucking like that's just better offers for the employer, and they just dominate you. Like they just outperform you. If you don't want to get like if you get outperformed, that's not like that's meritocracy. That's not they don't deserve it and they stole that from you because well you were born here so you deserve it. No, America's based on meritocracy and this is meritocracy.
In Southern California, and Cesar Chavez was a hero. I mean, we have a day in California dedicated to his memory.
Don't know who that is.
And Cesar Chavez, among many other things, he was a serious leftist, an economic life, he was a socialist. But among many other things, he was passionately, in fact, violently anti-immigration. Why? Because he was anti-Mexican? I mean, you know,
who cares about this random dude who was a liberal and he was like good for him,
was of
dude.
Mexican descent? Of course not. Because he led a labor union. And he understood that supply and demand is a real thing. And if you have an overabundance of anything, its value falls. That's why sand is cheap. So if you let people in from poor countries willing to work for less, your wages fall, particularly at the bottom end, among the most vulnerable. This was axiomatic for 100 years. All of our anti-immigration laws were the result of lobbying from organized labor, from Democrats, because they had a responsibility to their people. And Republicans, management, the people who owned the fruit companies, who hired the pickers, were totally for unrestrained immigration, legal and illegal, because it made their labor costs lower. So I would only say, and it's a more complicated question than just this, but this is a huge part of it. It's one of the reasons that wages have stalled. And for some categories of people, high school educated people, they've gone down over the last 30 years. Like, this is a real thing. And the last thing I'll say is if you bring this up, everyone wants to make a race question out of it. You don't like them because they're different. Oh, please. There's nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with what kind of country you want to live in. Do you want to live in a country where people with very little economic power have even less?
And yeah, it's true. Like, you have to acknowledge these people as much as they are coming from a non-empathy standpoint, like ignore empathy for like these practical reasons. Like they are not coming from a racial standpoint, and like their standpoint is just very fundamentally different from like the racist standpoint. Like yeah, they're saying yeah, it would hurt our economy, and like we have to take care of ourselves before taking care of anyone else. If we want to keep being able to say like keep helping others, we need to be a country that keeps being able to help ourselves. And like I would agree with that definitely, but like he's not actually hitting the like it's a Malthus. Oh yeah, like it's true that morally speaking we should help these people, they deserve it, but like legally speaking they like economically speaking it does that, but it's like juxtapose it, say yeah this is better over this, except and like just explain what you are like favoring over what just like except yeah this is what is going to happen, these are the downsides, and here's why I would rather this over that. Like actually acknowledge that there are two sides to this conversation, not just only the legal side or only the moral side. And if you can acknowledge both and put them into perspective and go into detail into comparing them, then you actually have a discussion to go off of.
Then open the doors, and that's what you'll get.
All right, so a lot to respond to there. So let's break it down one by one. First of all, this is a country, and this is not a cliche, it's true, this is a country made of immigrants. I'm an immigrant, and I came in a legal way. So, and I want to support that, and I think that that's not a matter of doing me a favor, it's not a matter of doing someone from Honduras a favor, it's a matter of what is best for the country. And I think immigrants have built this country, whether they were Italian, Irish, Chinese, Jewish, and Mexican. Yes, they have built this country. And so I think that is a great value to the country. In fact, there is demagoguery.
Honestly, like let me see real quick. Dude, I just have better things to do. And I feel like wait, let me see. Which stuff has Tucker Carlson in it? I definitely where was that? It was definitely higher. I'll find it, but dude, I feel like I'm definitely not yeah, I'm not going to get any views from this. I sort of thought where is my like the Cenk Uygur thing, that holy fuck, that was at 200 the other time I saw that. That's now at 531. That's like, yeah, I was saying for that reason that this is probably gonna do at least probably about as well, but yeah, like I'm clearly not getting views, and I've already responded to this. I'll see if I can find like all that stuff, but yeah, for now I'm just probably gonna stop streaming because I take my prescription pills and I'd rather like not really waste that, and yeah, no one's really watching, so I'll try to link back to that. I'll put it in the description, but yeah, I'll go ahead and see y'all next time. If anybody ever wants me to like review that debate again, I'll do it. But like, I don't know, no one's watching. I don't really feel like it's a productive thing to do. So